Thank you very much, and I want to thank Newtonville Books for hosting this evening, which is very hospitable of them, and it's a wonderful bookstore, so if you haven't had a chance to really browse around, come back another time, because it's really a terrific place. So I want to just talk a little bit about myself and my journey as an author, which I have never really felt comfortable calling myself until I had this in my hands. So the first time I ever got any recognition for anything I wrote, I was in the first grade. And I wrote a book, I wrote a story about a little dog. And it took up an entire blue book. Remember those little blue books we had in school? And I think the reason it was so remarkable was not its quality, it was its length. The teacher was so impressed that she grabbed me and took me around to all the third grade teachers to show them, I guess, the precocity of this brilliant first grader who filled a whole book, blue book with a story about a dog. So, since then, I didn't write anything else for about 35 years. I know, you thought I was going to say I never stopped writing, but that is not, in fact, the case. I stopped, and I didn't start again for a very long time, and there were a few factors that led to the resumption of my literary efforts. And the two principal ones were divorce and menopause. Why those two things? Because divorce, because I had 2 young children at the time that I started writing again, and I also, so that gave me time. And when I had shared custody, so when my kids were at their dad's house, I had a lot more free time than most parents of small children have in which to write. And menopause, because I couldn't sleep. So I was up at 5 in the morning. What are you going to do? Well, if you're me, you go to the computer and you start to write. So that was really what started me writing. And I did have a few fits and starts before that when I tried to write, and I felt that it was just, I had nothing. That's okay. I felt that I had nothing to say. And anything I attempted just seemed so unspeakably dull to me. And then what happened was life. And I started to draw on my own experiences and put those into various stories, and I wrote 2 books before this. They have never been published, thank God. They're terrible. And they are both very thinly veiled autobiographical novels, and they were practice books. So they kind of taught me a little bit about the tools of writing and how to put together a story and what worked and what didn't. And then I started to write in earnest, and I started this particular book probably about 10 years ago. And the first version, and I shopped it around to a bunch of literary agents who liked the idea of it, and I got some requests for the manuscript, and then nothing. And I realized I don't know anything about writing. I know how to put together a sentence that sounds elegant sometimes even, that sounds coherent, but in terms of how to structure a novel, I really didn't know what to do. And that was the problem with this book. It was just sort of a bunch of vignettes strung together with no order and no rhyme or reason. So I started studying. I started reading books about writing. I went to the University of Iowa and took a course there one summer for a week, which was incredible. Boston has an organization called Grub Street,